Let's talk John Lynch. John Lynch, who a few days ago went on the radio and said that the Niners can't use injuries as an excuse for this down season, that they have to identify root causes. Did you look in the mirror? How about you as the root cause, Mr. Lynch? Because I can't help but notice that the last 7 years, you had Adam Peters as your right-hand man, and he kept getting promoted from vice president to assistant GM, and he's been a scout. He took the traditional route through the front office to the top, as opposed to you, who, you were a Hall of Fame player and you got to just slide in right at the top. So you had Adam Peters doing your homework the last 7 years. Now he's gone. And I can't help but notice that Washington has its shit together. They are not a dysfunctional organization. They had been a dysfunctional organization for like my whole life. Now, they're not dysfunctional. They have a really good head coach who people want to play for, an enthusiastic head coach. They have a really good offensive coordinator who's not head coach material, but he's in the right job. And they have their quarterback. They got that guy right away. Didn't mess around. Got their quarterback, got their organization, got their culture squared away, and they're going to be good for a long time. Washington. That's a stable organization. Adam Peters goes there, instantly stabilizes it. Forget the draft. Big picture. Stabilizes one of the most dysfunctional organizations in sports. Right away. And in a corresponding move, all of a sudden the Niners become one of the most dysfunctional organizations in football. Nothing but drama. In addition, they just completely neglected their trenches this offseason, particularly their D-line. They cut Eric Armstead and replaced him with a bunch of nobodies who are old and overpaid. And now they can't stop the run to save their lives. Adam Peters wouldn't have let that happen. And so now I'm looking at a team that doesn't have a general manager. Adam Peters was the general manager. John Lynch was the face guy. He was the designated talker. And he's a good talker. But he's not a real general manager. That guy's in Washington. So the Niners either need to fire John Lynch or hire an assistant general manager to replace Adam Peters and essentially do John Lynch's job, like Peters did. Because if the Niners don't bring in an assistant general manager to sort of oversee everything, then who's to say the Niners won't have another awful offseason? Like, yeah, they had some good draft picks, Renardo Green, Dominic Pooney, but like big picture free agency, what did they do? What did they accomplish in free agency? Nothing. I think John Lynch got exposed big time this year without Adam Peters. This team became one of the most dysfunctional teams in the league, and you'd think that a Hall of Famer like John Lynch could keep it together, but he couldn't. Let's take some super chats. Brother Bob says, breaking, Niners extend Moody and Kyle Levy for 4 years. 808 Niners says, Brock is trash, trade him for a fourth. A fourth! John B says, coach said Brock is a bridge quarterback, Golden Gate Bridge. I love that. This dude says Kirby Joseph, Brock Purdy, poor guy, zero clutch. Gene. The coach says Golden Gate Brock, best bridge quarterback in the league. Why is the Golden Gate Bridge better than the Bay Bridge? I like the Bay Bridge. Golden Gate Bridge is pretty, though. But it's red. Shouldn't it be golden? I never understood that. To this day. This guy says, Grant, WTF did I just watch? Oh, you watched the 2024 49ers pull a 2024 49ers. You watched Kyle. You watched Brock. You watched Moody. Are you surprised? You've seen this before any number of times. DS 1984 says second game in NFL history was 0 punts. Haha. Something to be proud of. This guy again says Kyle was in his bag the first half. Kyle is more worried about beating Ben Johnson than making the playoffs. Self-centered Lou Zaher. Boxing fan ×4. Why ×4? Says props to Turdy G and Jake Maher. Get that top 10 pick, baby. True Sav says Kyle Shanahan is the physical manifestation of privilege. David Bousquet says Purdy hurt. This means he'll miss the playoffs. Ha! Playoff? Sal Gonzalez says Kyle read all the tea leaves saying Ben Johnson was the next hot stuff, so it makes sense why we actually saw his best called game plan saved for today. Figures when it's a meaningless game. Yeah, it's like, what? Let's save all our cool plays for the Lions game. Forget this Rams game that actually matters. Sean Brady says we wasted 3 first-round picks on Trey. What do you think it would cost to trade up for Sanders? Like 3 first-round picks, probably. I don't know for sure.